There we go. All right, here we try this again. I appreciate everybody who possibly tried to watch the last one before I deleted it, and then told me afterwards that it did have sound, even though when I was looking everywhere, I couldn't find the sound to it. So, welcome back. And if you did get to catch some of that, yay! Because I was like super frustrated because I'm like, I talked for 40 minutes to myself just to delete it and start all over again. So I had something to eat, and now I'm back here again. I'm Laura, for those of you who don't know, and my company or business is Far From Ordinary. Not all who wander are lost. So those two are pretty much my life. It has been far from ordinary. I've had some amazing adventures and some wonderful times, and I've also had some horrific times and terrible things that have happened. So I'm here today to talk to you guys about mindset practices and how to get your life back after you come from adversity. So I am from a small town in Alberta, and there was about 1,000 people total. All the kids in my school were pretty much bused in, so it was me for the first 4 years of my life until my baby sister was born. And then of course, as she got older, she became my best friend, and so it wasn't so hard not having any kids in town with me. But I did all right, and as time went on, I became more and more independent. My family wasn't the richest in town, and we lived in a very wealthy oil town, Ukrainian town in Alberta. So I got to see all these people with tons and tons of money doing everything that they want, having the big boats and the best cars, and here we lived in our lonely old house with our, generally used cars and all that stuff. So feeling like the poor kid in a rich town wasn't exactly the easiest upbringing, and probably, quite a bit of places where my trauma had started. But I turned around, hey Jordan, I turned that around and I took that to like a whole new level. I decided that I wanted more for myself, and my whole life my mom said that I needed to, if I don't know why I all of a sudden felt nervous. I don't know where the nerves are coming from. My first one was like super relaxed. But I mean, I don't like talking about myself. That's always been like one of my big things. Is like I don't like talking about my story. I don't want sympathy. I'm not here for pity. I'm not here for that stuff. I want people to know where I came from. So I came from the small town. I grew up, I got better, and I moved out. Just kidding. No, kind of. At 16, me and my mom had a really bad fight, and I didn't go home for like 2 years. I put myself through high school, and I did what I could. I did everything that I could. I went to school, I went to college, I became a nurse. I graduated, I did that for 4 years. As people started to die, I found that my empathy was really too great for nursing. So I quit doing that after my first real core set of customers had all kind of just passed away all in line to each other. And I found like my heart was broken, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I didn't want to, my ex-husband had his own business, insulating houses, and I didn't want to work with him. We were already at each other's throats like all the time, and he was never really nice to me, so I didn't really want to work with him. And I took a job, and I took a job that I didn't want, and before I turned around, hi honey, before I turned around and actually went to work with him. And our employee, he actually won $10,000 on a lottery ticket and took off and didn't tell us. And so it was me and him working one day before we hired our family. And he says to me, he goes, "It's your fault. Our employee left. He doesn't like working with you, and you're mean to him." I'm like, pardon me? I'm like, I'm mean to him. I'm like, me and that man, not my husband, me and the kid that was working with us, we had so much fucking fun. We got to do these apartments, okay? We got to work in these apartments where we were like building, we were insulating these old people houses, basically. So they had like the most exciting showers I'd seen ever before until I worked at Wolseley, and then I seen like the only things better than this. But it was honestly like being in a spaceship. For some reason, Dave, I think was his name, maybe Mark, I don't know, it could have been Mike, I can't remember. I think it was Dave though. Everybody knows Dave. He he sits in the shower and he calls, he's like, Laura, come up here, you gotta see this. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I come up here, he's like, look, I'm in a spaceship. And he starts spinning around in this fucking tub. So I hop in there with him and we're spinning around in the tub, and my ex-husband, he comes up and he's just like, get to work. And he tried to tell me that I was the miserable one and that's why our employee left. But I mean, that was like the like probably the nicest mean thing he used to tell me. So, you know, I took it. I was like, whatever. And so we're pushing up this big bag of insulation, and it was like R40, and they come in slabs of 5, and they all like strapped together. So we're surrounded up together, and we're pushing them up the stairs. And he made another like really mean remark about me not being worth anything. Okay, why I married this person is absolutely beyond me, and like I guess it's just a show to myself of my own like lack of self-worth and what I've worked on so much since. But he's telling me this like super mean shit, and I'm like, I can make this look like an accident. And I'm like, oh man, like that was probably one of the most horrifying thoughts I'd ever had cross my mind, like ever, was the fact that like I can make this look like an accident. And I still stay married to him for like another 2 years. Like I don't know what's, you know, I would like to say I don't know what's wrong with me. So back then, I got together with him when I was 16, and we were together until I was 25. So, you know, a good portion of my life. And then the next relationship after that, okay, so the guy I date after that, I'm like with for 9 years, and we raised 2 beautiful daughters of his. They're my stepdaughters. And the worst part about that was he knew, like I was best friends with his sister. So I'd known him since I was 13. And here I am dating this guy that I've had this crush on, you know, and they always say that if you've had a crush for longer than 6 months, it's true love. Okay. So here I am. I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's finally happening, blah, 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 blah. Right? And I'm like, great. Yay. And super stoked. And I knew he had some drug issues in the past. But he had 2 beautiful daughters, 4 and 8 at the time. And I was thinking, you know, there's no way this guy, like my best friend who is an amazing mom and has an amazing mom, has amazing grandparents. I'm like, there's no way he's still addicted to drugs and not doing his part. And he had like promised me up and down that it was done. And he had all these great things to say about me. I will take my husband, ex-husband, who told me to my face what he thought of me in like the meanest fashion. But he never lied. He always told me what he thought of me. He told me the truth. And he was a dick about it, but at least he was an honest dick, okay? He was an honest dick. So I was like, I would take that over narcissism any day of the fucking week. And then, like, so to be treated like I was dumb, basically, and lied to for 9 years, and basically pulled the wool over my own eyes, believing that, you know, there's no way that he's doing all this stuff, you know, and then I'd see the signs and the red flags, and then he'd disappear for a week, and then he'd come back. But I'd be taking care of his kids. I'd be taking care of our kids, right? So I'm like, it was my family. I loved the girls, and you know, and I mean, I can't say that I stayed in love with him the whole time. I had love for him. I had hope for him. But I fell out of love with him long before we ever went our separate ways. I loved those girls. Those girls were my life. I put my life in jeopardy numerous times for them, because of him and the shit he was into and all this stuff that like I didn't know about until after it was all said and done. So, you know, but in the end of that relationship, that was where I found like, I guess how strong of an empath I was, and how I could how much control of my life that I actually had. You know, for 2 weeks leading up to the separation of us, I was like, I don't want to break up with him. I had broke up with him the year before after my hysterectomy. He stole my van and got drunk and left it somewhere and came home in the middle of the night, and I had just had surgery. I was like 2 weeks after his full hysterectomy. And he came home and he would not tell me where my van was. Not 100% would not tell me where my van was. And I literally fucking knocked that motherfucker out. I'm 5 foot fuck all. He's like 5'11", almost 6 feet tall. And I literally took my elbow and I fucking hit him so hard across the fucking face he woke up on the couch. And and I was like, and he wakes up and he's got this black eye and this swollen face and his neck's ripped apart because I took my nails and I like ripped apart. I was gonna pull out his fucking jugular. Like I was done, done, done. Anybody says Canadians are nice, they haven't met me. Because like, as nice as I am, as nice as I can be, to like push that wrong button, like push hard enough, and you will learn what a bitch can be. And I mean, yeah. So I mean, it was really like a solid moment where like I knew the love was gone between us. I kicked him out of my house. 3 weeks later, he comes crawling back because he couldn't live with his father and he wanted to work on things. And 11 months later, almost 12 months to the day that all of this went down with my van, he walked out the door for another girl. And like, yeah. So, you know, again, it was like, and then, so then I lost my family. That year, I lost 3 aunts, 2 cousins, and 2 really good friends, all within about 10 months of each other. Life like didn't feel fair, and then that's where I found drugs, and you know, and I've never had an addictive personality. I just went party to party. I was still working. I was still suffering through all my pain, and the pain disorder had started to really build up. All the stress and all of that stuff that had kind of just come on, piled up, and it just kept piling and piling and piling and piling, and so the pain kept on piling and piling and piling and piling. So I finally I gave up my house. My aunt kept accusing my roommate of being a drug runner and us having a drug house because he worked nights and I worked days, and so we were constantly like rotating through the house. And he smoked weed, before weed was legal, but he had his medical marijuana card. He's an old MMA fighter and he had a lot of disc damage, and he was part of that first group of people that got their marijuana card. So like I turned around and moved him into the house after he got like blindsided by his roommates. He had dogs and I had a farm, so what better place to have the dogs than a farm? Well, then my crazy aunt, oh, you can't have dogs on a farm. Okay, you can't have dogs on a farm. Well, now I have 11 dogs because his dogs decided to have puppies, and she had 9 and 1 died. And then she killed 1, so we were down to 8, but that was still 11 dogs in the house by the time it was all said and done. And yeah, so she like flipped out and I ended up getting kicked out. So I went and worked on the highway. And all this trauma, all these things, they just kept piling. There was no break for me. I never never quit. I never knew to quit. I just kept going. I was work and work and work and work and work and work and work. So I do this, right? So I just work and work and work until I finally can't no more. I was traveling back and forth to the US for a guy, and when things went south, he actually left the state before I did, before I was even able to get home. He was gone out of the state before I was. And I had friends from broadcasting off a different app before Live Me even knew what broadcasting was. I was broadcasting on this app, and I had made all these friends, and those friends helped get me home. And I've been ever so grateful to them. But after that all went down, after all that went down, I just continually slam after slam after slam after slam with life. And then, so I was just back to working full time. I wasn't even paying attention to my health. I mean, I tried to ignore the pain, and it just brought me back to the doctors. And I was back and forth to the doctors, and I was trying to get this pain to subside. And I didn't want to take painkillers. I've never been that person to take the painkillers. It is windy. It is windy, honey. You're funny. But I didn't want to do the painkiller thing. I never did. And so they were like, oh, you have tennis elbow, because my elbows had started to really, really hurt, and they didn't make sense. Like that one still to this day baffles me. It doesn't make sense to me why my elbows got so bad, but that pain was so bad that I used to pass it to people, like other empaths that would end up around me. I'm usually very calm, very put together, and most empaths are drawn to me because of that. Like I don't, no matter how stressful my life is, I'm very put together. Until I'm not. And then when I let it all go and that blast of energy hits people, it's just like a wall. So it was raining in the beginning. Yeah, it's been raining off and on through. But yeah, that wind picked up and it went, and the whole tent went, and I was like, that's funny. So they thought I had tennis elbow. So they're like, wear that thing, they wear that wrap around your arm. Well, my arm got super swollen. So I turn around and I I like I go to my friend Derek's house and I take off this wrap and my arm goes woof, and he's like, you should probably go back to the hospital and see whoever told you to do that. And I'm like, I'm headed to Oregon, I can't. So I drove like this to Oregon, so the swelling would come down to my arm before before I got there. And so sure enough, like it all went back, and then and then when I come home like a week later, I went back to the hospital and I told them what happened when I wore this band. So then I was like, where they were pile driving all the medical stuff, and they all this back to the specialist again for like the 50th time in my life, for them to all tell me that there was nothing wrong with me, but my pain and the things like the physical presentation of what was happening in my body was like something was really wrong. But no matter what they tested for, no matter what they looked at, there was nothing wrong. So I turned around and I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be called everything that they called me in my past, looking for attention seeking, or, like liar, all the things that they said from the time that I was a kid, because like they're saying, how can you be in so much pain? You're 16 years old. How can you be in so much pain? You're 14 years old. How can you be in so much pain? You're only 20. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're older? Well, I'll tell you, at 42, I was ready to end my life. So, when you're going around and basically just giving love to the people that have taken care of you your whole life, just because like you don't want to be here anymore. Like it was never about hating my life. It was never about hating the world or not being happy. It was, I've been in so much pain that I was waking up 6-7 times a night crying. I needed help to get out of bed. I needed help in the shower. I needed help with everything. I couldn't cook most days, on the great days, and on the good days, I have an amazing man take me hiking, and he would recognize a good day even if I didn't at first, and we would be off and running to do all the things that I couldn't do every other day. So when I found the Magnetic Minds super conscious recode for entrepreneurs, I was like, I haven't been an entrepreneur in a long time, because as my body was failing, I started my affiliate marketing businesses, and and I was really working to build an online presence again, like I had when I was broadcasting on the other app. But I didn't know that the pain meds that they had me on had really so badly affected my cognitive ability. And a couple months into living in British Columbia, after leaving an abusive relationship that I was pretty sure was going to take my life, they upped my meds, because they went to operate on the carpal tunnel that they said that I had a slight case of, but if they could take away any of my pain, they were going to do it for me. So they had scheduled the operation to do this carpal tunnel surgery, and after 5 freezing needles into my hand, the doctor says to me, move your hand. So here I am. I've been, since 16 years old, I've had numbness in my fingers and hands at any given day. Like my skin being sensitive and my hands being numb were the first 2 real physical responses that my brain had to the emotional trauma that I was facing. So, so here I am, like, moving my hand, that now, because he's used so much excessive freezing, has swelled to about triple the size. So I looked like this little fat kid with fat fingers, because I got little stubby hands. So anyways, so they were all swollen and huge, and I was like, I look like, if I took a picture of my hand, they would think I was a little fat kid. And but you know what, my boyfriend was amazing, Cosmo. He takes me, and we go to the Fraser River, and we gold pan. So every so often I would stop, and I'd just like put my arm in the water, and I'd let the cold water like run on it, even though I couldn't feel it. So I had to be careful, because I didn't want to lose my arm. I didn't want to freeze it to death or something. So I would stick my arm in just to get like some of that numbness to kind of go away. And as it was like the freezing was coming out, it got more and more painful. So as the night progressed and the sun went down, he took me home, and and we went back across the ferry to where we were living at the time. So, it was an amazing experience. But at that time, I was like, they didn't do the surgery. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like, they keep telling me there's like these little things, but everything is like piling up to be all these big things, and nothing is giving me relief. And so I was starting to really feel lost. I stopped that doctor increased my medication, and that was when the life really, really flip-flopped for me. The next year is pretty much a blur, like almost non-existent to me. Um, and uh, and then the following year, after I got off the drugs, I was finally starting to like get my brain back, and everything was starting to come back into focus, and I was starting to realize how much it was affected. I would hate myself, and I just kept looking at my boyfriend and being like, how could you live with me like this? I'm like, I'm pissing myself off, man. I'm like, this is too much. Like, like I lose everything. There's stuff I still haven't found, and it's been like almost a it's been a full year. It's been over a full year now that I've been off that medication. Um, and it's been 6 months since my pain was lifted with that superconscious recode. So, as like this last 6 months and everything's been clearing, I mean, there's still stuff I didn't find. There's still stuff that, you know, some of it we know that was lost in some of the other trials and stuff that have happened through this journey in those last few years of being out here. I know that some of it has been like lost, like just because of the other circumstances and whatnot, but like it's just unbelievable, like the stuff that I lost. And even still, I call them Gabby glitches, because like all of a sudden I'll be like, I'll go for something and it's not there, and I'm like, I know it was there. Okay, now I remember moving it. I don't remember where I moved it to. And that was my biggest thing on the gabapentin. I would have something in one spot the whole time, so I would know where it is, and then I would go look, I would move it, I would get into this, I got to get rid of the clutter and everything, you know, fixing the clutter is going to fix everything, you know, because I've always been, without realizing it, like strong on mindset and understanding that like where your mind is where your health is, and where your body is you know, like it's all directed with how your emotions are in your mind, which is why when people would be like super negative towards me, rude to me, mean to me, treat me poorly, use me, I I would always be quick to forgive. I'd always be quick to help more people. Um, no, you know, no matter what has ever been done to me, or you know, whatever, I never held it against anybody, because you know, I know it wasn't a reflection of me, because that's not the person I am. I'm that person that's going to give my shirt off my back. I'm the person that's going to feed you, even if it's my last food in my house. I'm not. My mom took care of 13 children. We were broke, and she was a town babysitter, and so like when we were feeding us, we were feeding them too, and she wasn't charging a whole lot for having the children in her home. It was barely enough to feed, it wasn't even enough to feed them sometimes. So you know, I learned really young that you know, eating was a necessity. It didn't matter how much money you had, like, you know, our bodies need it, and whether we have it or not, we'll figure it out and we'll feed everybody with what we have. And I've always done it. So I didn't, you know, like my parents, it really gave me some very strong like mindsets to work with. So you know, I absolutely 100% like come from a very strong, loving household. So to have that trauma build up and cause all of this pain, just, you know, it wasn't like I lived in a horrible, horrible home. And you know, like everybody has their stories, and like my stories as I got older were the ones that were really traumatizing, like my appendix bursting and I almost died. My family couldn't come see me because my uncle had passed, and they were in Manitoba at his funeral, so they didn't even get back until after all my surgeries. They had spent their extra money that month to go to Manitoba for this funeral, so I wasn't expecting them to come to me. And I kept telling them no, that I was fine, when again, in reality, I wasn't fine. And like the fact that I'm here today is another miracle, because I'm a 0.0001%. Like people who tell you that, yeah, I survived my appendix bursting. How long was it bursting your body for? Well, just minutes, seconds. I've heard a couple days, longest, but that's inflamed, not a burst. If you would have, guaranteeing that they pulled out your entire appendix when they went in for operating on you. I guarantee you they pulled out your whole appendix. They only found half of my appendix in my body. So, and then the scar tissue that came after the fact and squished my intestines with my uterus. I would go into shock anytime I had to go to the bathroom. So I would just prop myself up in the fetal position and wait till I came to, because it would make me pass out. It's an overstimulated something or other, and it's not technically shock, but the symptoms of it is exactly like shock. Like to me, I was going into shock. I was like, I like break out into this cold sweat. Like I wouldn't be able to focus. Like I would just basically have to prop myself up, and that happened for 2 years before I finally let them operate again. Because I was like, you're not operating on me. I don't care. I'm like, I barely survived the appendix thing. By the time it was all said and done, I'm like, you're not operating on me again. It's not happening. So, like that's and then as my body again, like over time after those two, that was 2014, 2016. We're almost at 10 years here, and when that as that was happening, and what my pain levels and my pain was my pain tolerance is obviously really good because my appendix was like burst in my body for 4 to 6 days before they got it out. I was misdiagnosed with a blood clot in my liver, so I was at home taking blood thinners before I went back to the hospital. So even going to the hospital when I did, it had already been burst for at least a day, possibly 2, and took them 3 days to thicken my blood to be able to operate on me without killing me on the table. But then as they were thickening my blood, my heart was stopping. So it was a catch-22. There was it was operate now or never, and if they and if they didn't operate, I wasn't gonna have a chance. So I was like, well, give me the chance. I've made it this long. If I've suffered this long with something that should have killed me 4 days ago, put me on that table, coach. If it's my time, it's my time. But when he thought he punctured my intestines, and he come to me 2 days later saying that he had to open me up again that week, and I said no. I'm like 100% no. I will sign a DNR right now on this table. If you bring me a lawyer or justice of the peace, whatever I need to have with me, I will sign this DNR right now because I'm done. My body is done. I won't survive another surgery, so it's not worth your time. And that was my decision. So, but I had also decided at that point that I was getting out of that hospital, that I wasn't dying because of if I had made it that far in this whole trauma, I wasn't dying. So I ordered a pizza on Sunday and I got to go home on Monday. And this other lady that I had been in the hospital for a few days, she's like, they're finally letting you out of here. What'd you do? I'm like, I ordered a pizza. And then the truth was they were keeping me there because I wasn't eating. I could taste the smells. I could taste the cooking of the plates that they were bringing out my food to me on. I could taste that plastic that they heat up so hot in the hospital to sanitize it. I could taste it. It was so horrible that I couldn't eat it. I couldn't even eat it. And if I went down in the hospital to get a snack from the cafeteria with the few dollars that I had at that time, because now I haven't been working for 2 weeks, I don't have a paycheck coming in. That company I was working for didn't have short-term disability, and I wasn't getting paid. So I had nothing coming in. I didn't want to spend my money on food, especially since they were feeding me in the hospital, but I couldn't eat the food. You could taste the plastic inside the cup of milk, and the fruit cups that came in their own plastic wrapping. I could still taste the plastic that they heated up and put it in and brought it to me on. It was horrible. I was like, no, I ain't eating that shit. So when I finally ordered Domino's and they watched me inhale a half a pizza and share the rest and then eat a pile of chicken wings, they're like, she's good. Send her home. So I called up my boss, and he sent our receiver to Bill to pick me up, and he so graciously took me home. So I know, right? It's so bad. But it was, it gave me a whole new respect for my boss because I didn't like him coming in. I didn't like him as a person. He seemed to make it his mission in life to make the girls at his other store cry, and I cried just because he was coming to work at my store and told them to send me to Fort McMurray. That's how much I hated that guy for everything I knew about him. And he was the only one that showed up at my hospital bed. It gave me a whole, we're still friends today. That's all I got on that one. He may not know it, but I still call him friend today just because he was one of the very few people that showed up at my hospital bed. So that being said, as the pain got lifted from this class, I've been pile driving information after information. Just before the pain took me out, I did a business and marketing management course. So I have my business and marketing management diploma, I have a travel and tourism certificate on top of my nursing diploma, and I have one more year and I can be a business degree. Have my, what do you call that? Business degree. Yeah, I can have my business degree in one more year of college. And so, so I pile drive all of this, information over this last 6 months. And through it, I found my spirituality. I found the connection that I had lost with my higher self, with my, I don't even know what to call it at this point, but just I've rediscovered my purpose. And in going through everything that I've gone through and learning the process and getting to join and learn about the spiritual side of things, where I had lost belief in that. I didn't have faith in myself. I didn't have faith in something else. I mean, I did, but I didn't, because to me, I'm like, the year that my appendix burst and I survived, a girl that I babysat, she passed away from the flu. She was 21. She died on her 21st birthday from the flu. So fuck you, COVID. Okay, I've known people that have died from the flu long before COVID. For the yeah, so don't get me started there. I won't get started there, because yeah, that's just we're way too sheepily. So then my uncle passed, but he was in his 90s. He had Alzheimer's, and honestly, a blessing in disguise. And not even in disguise. Our bodies aren't meant to last forever. He had lived his time, and he was a wonderful man. I spent so much time with him and his wife when I was a kid, like my great aunt and great uncle, because they're my parents. It's my dad's aunt and uncle. So I you know, like, I mean, I was sad to know that he had passed, but I mean, my Auntie Edith, she's still alive today and doing very well in Brandon, where some of my family lives. I have most of my family's in Manitoba and Ontario, from my dad's side. Few here in BC and a couple in Alberta, but we're spread out. I got family in the United States, and that's why I get to be so well traveled. I get, you know, I have family everywhere, broadcasting for as long as I did. I got to meet people everywhere. You know, it's been wonderful. So, in getting better, I was like, oh, okay, I got this diploma and I got this and that. So I tried to like put myself online and get out there and succeed right now. And I'm like not succeeding, and I'm feeling frustrated, and I'm not marketing myself well, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know where to get started. So I went right back to the place that saved me, and I did another 5-day class with Chris Duncan, and then I did a conscious accelerator class, but I got lost in it, and I knew that they would be important, and I knew what they were saying, and I understood the concept, I understood why I was there, but I wasn't finding the value in it that I should have been. Or not, maybe not that I should have been, that I could have been had I been where I am today. So I again went back to another free class that Chris had, you know, just engulfing myself in learning about the Recode and the structure behind it, and realizing that, hey, you know, the structure to this Recode is very similar to what I need to do to structure my business. And then all of a sudden ClickFunnels comes across my screen. So then I get wrapped up in Russell Brunson and his world, because he's so much like me. He talks so fast, and he's enthusiastic, and he loves what he does, and he found passion in ClickFunnels and helping entrepreneurs like myself and getting people going and getting their businesses started. And so I engulfed myself in what he had to offer, and in all the trainings that he had, and I built myself funnels, and they failed, and I built myself more funnels, and they failed. Then I found new platforms to build funnels on, because I started to realize that as much as I loved him and what he stood for, his business practices aren't falling in line to what he's saying anymore. And so I was getting discouraged, because I was like, I know this marketing is proper, and like, you know, and he taught me value ladders, and then he introduced me to Napoleon Hill. And I listened to Outwitting the Devil, and I read Think and Grow Rich, and I've read them both like 4 times in the last 2 months. And I honestly like learned so much about what I had been feeling from those 2 books, and it's like, wow, you know, it all makes so much sense, and like this, more people need to know this. And I'm like, and I know my purpose. Like, my purpose is to carry on Napoleon Hill's work, and to share with people like the spirituality side that we're missing in science, and that we're missing in our businesses and everything else. It's like I separated all of that. Like, I had issues with the church when I was growing up. I know more people that go to church and steal, and go to church on Sunday to beg for forgiveness or ask for forgiveness, so they could go out and use people and be rude and steal and lie and cheat and be mean to their wives and drink themselves under the table, because they're not happy, and because they're not content with their lives, and they're not happy in their lives, and they haven't found peace. They haven't found what they're looking for. And here I am, I'm like, I've had nothing. I've had 3 years where I haven't been able to work. and coming from no income. And so here I am starting my business with nothing, and all these people are like, invest in yourself, invest in yourself. I'm like, I am investing in myself. I'm investing time, I'm investing knowledge, I'm investing everything that you guys are offering to me. It is coming, and it is in, like, I have 25 notebooks of everything, from my story, from everything that's happened, from all my feelings, from my growth points. Like, it's all documented, like, for like the like how I feel like and comfortable in talking about this story and telling everybody and putting myself out there to help others. I mean, I wasn't there even a couple months ago. I thought I was, but if I was, I would have been doing this a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago. And so, I mean, I've just continued to take baby steps and take action every day, and just pray and find myself. And I know that the spirituality part isn't for everybody, but that was part of my thing, is like, I wasn't a spiritual person before this. I have a belief in, I wasn't a religious person before this. I've always believed that there's more out there. When I survived my appendix bursting and seeing all those people die around me, my uncle's sister, she passed away. She was a recovering drug addict, and she had a seizure in the bathtub coming off of fentanyl, and drowned, and left her two boys, both fathers not wanting their sons. The one dad stepped up, and my uncle, my aunt, my mom's sister, her husband stepped up, and they took in the other son and raised him. So and then same story. My auntie Dana, her sister died in Mexico, alcohol poisoning, and left to her two young kids, both 18 and 21, both like pregnant. Her son has his son's girlfriend. They're married, and they have a wonderful family. But her daughter was not in the same place. She was pregnant. Baby daddy was in jail, and she was on drugs. So the baby came out high on heroin, and so my aunt and uncle, my mom's side, took that baby in, and are raising that child, not without struggle, because baby daddy got out of jail and tried to take him back. So it was like, it's just, like, it's just been story after story after story of hardship, and all these struggles that have gone on around me, and I'm like, why am I here? I don't have children of my own. I can't have kids. At that point, I mean, I was just working my life away. I mean, I always felt like I could do more, and that I should do more, or would do more, if I knew what to do with more, but I didn't have money, and I didn't have the right friends, and I didn't have the right tools, and I had all these excuses and reasons why I wasn't being more. And I'm like, you took a mother. My friend, one of my good friends that grew up in the house behind me, he passed away. He was 34. His sister died when she was 21, and his baby brother died when it was 6 months old. He was 6 months old, in the crib. So now here this family is that had 3 beautiful children that are all gone now, and it's just them, and they outlived all their children. And here I am. I'm like, I don't have a child. I don't even get access to my stepchildren, and I haven't been doing anything productive. I mean, I've been helping people as much as I could, but I didn't have anything to offer as far as I could see. So I was just giving my love and my persistent happiness and everything else that I try to carry with me in my life. But to me, it didn't feel like enough. I'm like, what am I supposed to help these people with? I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't understand. I'm like, why could you keep me here and take my 21-year-old friend that like had a whole life ahead of her? And that point I was 37, 36, 38, somewhere in there. Just numbers, just human numbers to me. I don't, my age, I power up, I level up. I don't even age anymore. I just level up. I look better every year. So like I level up. I don't age. But I had survivor's guilt. I ended up in therapy for survivor's guilt, because I didn't understand why the world would leave such a useless soul here and take, people that had families that needed them. And I honestly didn't get it until now. Until now. And in opening up my mind and my heart and my soul, and really like reaching to the sky to find out why I'm here. And I mean, and it's inspiration, and it's encouragement, and it's guidance, and it's to share this gift that I've been given, that Jordan has been so we were drawn to each other, and I got to help her with a bout of Crohn's that came on, and my boyfriend who hurt his neck and now his back, and I'm slowly working those creeks out for him, pushing energy, and just all the gifts that I've found that I've been learning to use, and learning to use proficiency. I cured my fear of heights, And then I go to jump off a diving board, and I like literally I was on the run, I was ready, and I hit a wall before I could let go of the as I took like 4 steps. As I take 5 steps, I get to the edge of the handrails, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't end at the handrails. You mean I have to let go of the handrails to jump? I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? I'm like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared to be up there. Okay, like don't get me wrong. Even letting go of the handles and standing at the edge of the diving board, I looked around and I'm like, sorry, I'm really stiff today. I think it's his fault. I've got to do the ground and release technique. I'm like feeling really stiff, but I'm like, I look around on this diving board and I'm just like, I'm not scared to be up here. And I go to jump and I'm like, okay, so I cured the fear of heights, not the fear of falling, which is funny because ever since the fear of heights was gone and I've been watching those like squirrel suits and people jump, like I wasn't even able to do that. Like I would get sick to my stomach watching a skier ski down those like massive things and take those jumps and diving board people. I couldn't watch other people do things. Like no, the emotion, the freaking the tightness in my chest, the adrenaline that has honestly just been so like much that I couldn't even look over the edge, and I would see what these other people had done, and I'm like, no, and I'd get sick to my stomach. Like it was getting so bad after my pain had lifted that just because we live up the mountains, we live at like 100 meters above sea level, and we go up cliffs, and he may or may not be, if he's still in here, he just has his phone sitting down, but he is like close by me. So, but he, but you know, like I couldn't even watch that stuff. And then I was looking over the edge as we're driving up, and I'm like wanting to sit on his lap driving. I'm like, you're gonna have to let me drive. I'm like, this is getting to be too much. I can't handle it. I'm like, I'm stressing you out because I'm so stressed out. And I'm like, you know what? And this was about a month and a half after the after the Superconscious Recode. And I'm like, I have to be able to do this. If I'm gonna help others and other people's, if I can help others with it, if I want to use this with this gift and figure it out, I'm gonna have to use it on my own, on myself. I have to know that it works. So it took me three days, but not like full days. Like, I mean, I'm talking like a few minutes a day, basically, working with myself, not knowing exactly what I was trying to do. And I did it. And then all of a sudden we're driving down the mountain, and I'm like looking down going, hey, there's a box down there. And he's like, what'd you just say? And I'm like, there's a box down there. I'm like, we should stop and check it out later. And he's like, how far down? And I'm like, I don't know, 50, 100 feet. And he's like, he just stared at me, and I'm just like, could you watch the road? And he's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, what just happened? And I'm like, I cured my fear of heights. And he's like, I noticed. He's like, that's exciting. And I'm like, it is exciting. So here I am on the top of this diving board, and I'm like, nope. And I would try it again, nope. And so I'm sitting there, and now there's people behind me, and so I can't get down. Like, I'm jumping. Regardless, I'm jumping. Whether I want to or not, I'm jumping. So I'm like, how do I get myself off this diving board? And I'm standing at the diving board, and you know, and I'm still like, there's still some doubts in my mind at this point. There's still like trauma still built up in there from whatever else. I don't even know what the fear of falling's from. I don't remember ever really falling off of anything, and I don't know if I ever actually found the trauma that caused like in my own mind. I know my superconscious has, and we've gotten past it, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, you want to jump out of an airplane, you're gonna have to jump off a diving board. You're gonna want, if you want to go bungee jumping, you're gonna have to jump off this diving board. Like, for one, you're gonna die not eating or drinking if you stay on the diving board, and people are gonna be pissed off because they can't jump off of it behind you. But how are you gonna find it inside yourself to jump? And I'm like, people are gonna push me. I'm gonna be attached to somebody when I jump out of a plane, so I have time to like figure that one out. Bungee jumping, they'll just push me off. You know, I kept giving myself excuses back on why I didn't have to jump off this diving board today. And I'm like, if you jump, you get the money. And I'm like, I didn't understand what I was telling myself at that time, because I tell you, money didn't magically appear in my poop, or in my butt, or underneath my butt, or in my bank account. It didn't appear anywhere. It didn't grow on a tree beside me or nothing like that. It hasn't like appeared. But in my mind, I'm like, if you jump, the money will come. If you jump, you get the money. If you jump, you get the money. And I jumped. And then I jumped again. And like the hesitation was still there, but it was like split second. Like Cosmo jumped off before me. And then I was like right behind him. I got to the edge and I stopped. He hadn't even looked back yet. And I jumped again. And he's like, oh, you didn't even hesitate. I'm like, I did, but not long enough for you to even notice. So you know what? Awesome. But that one I was like a little more confident and I didn't get like the twist that I was trying to, so I like landed on my butt. And I had already hurt my butt. I had stepped off my bed and sat onto our fridge that the plastic got broken, so it's like metal piece, and I sat on it like really, really hard. I still haven't cropped that picture to send you the picture of the bruise. I will do that. It's funny. It kind of looks like it looks like somebody kissed my ass, to be honest. Pretty funny. But my butt got sore after that, so I was like, okay, I'm good with that for a minute. Like, let's go do something else. So I had this vision, like, coming into this pool that he was gonna, like, yard sale doing this flow rider ride. And I seen it in my head, and I was like, use the rope. You know, and I wasn't gonna be, like, persistent and all, like, naggy about it, because it's not me. And I still, in some ways, you know, I don't know how strong my intuition is. I don't know if these things are just, like, you know, like, I haven't got the whole hang of it. I'm got the whole hang of like pushing my energy and utilizing my energy to heal, but I haven't totally got the hang of the flashes and stuff that I get. So I'm like, be careful. I'm like, use the rope. I'm like, you've never done it before, so just use the rope. And that's all I kept saying. Like, I wasn't being like a nag about it. I wasn't trying to stop him from doing it. I wasn't going to stop him from doing it. I wanted to do it too, but I hurt my butt on the diving board, and I was like, I seen the yard sale in my head, and I was like, it looked bad in my head. It was even worse seeing him actually do it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to trust those flashes a lot more from now on. And I'm glad I trusted the one about myself, because it was literally like a broken tailbone if I got cocky. So I was like, you know what? I jumped off the diving board. I get the money. And to me, like, and it's, you know, it's been a couple of weeks, and today is like that day that I'm like really putting my business out there, myself out there as the guide that I am and the healer that I am, because like, I didn't know how I was going to get the money, and I didn't know what was going to come, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do for it. I just knew that jumping off the diving board was going to bring me in the direction that I needed to get the money. And what it did was it opened up the last of the fears that I needed to heal. It opened up the last of the things that I've been holding on to that have really manifested negativity and the negative things in my life, and prevented me from getting past so many things. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter at the moment, like, because I'm doing everything from my soul, from my heart. Like, this is all genuine me, and I don't need money to start this, because I didn't have money to start this. I didn't have money getting into this. I didn't have money to get healed. So I don't need money to help others. Not in the sense of giving you your life back and so on. If I want to continue to do more and help with more and grow my life, then of course money is a factor, and that's why, you know, there is stuff for sale out there that I am offering over and above this mindset class. But if anything that I want you to take from this day one is all of the tidbits that I have kind of included, that where if my mindset had been different, had I gone into the hospital believing I was going to die, I believe I would have died that day. I know I would have died that week. They don't know how I survived. I am a medical miracle in the eyes of doctors, and I do believe in, I don't know if it was ever published. I never did go back and ask him if he did publish it, but my surgeon had told me that he was a regular public writer in one of the medical journals out there, and that he got my signature and permission to actually document the work and my what happened to me. So you know, so to be that miracle, I know that was all me. That was me and my higher self, knowing that my job wasn't done yet, that I hadn't reached my potential and what I was supposed to be here to do. And then and coming into this and marketing my business and wanting to be more and wanting to help more, it was learning that, you know, I've been seeing a lot of these like psychic healers or psychic readers out there, and they're promoting their businesses and saying, I'll help you for free. I'm pulled to you. I'm drawn to you for a reason. I want to help you, but it's free. And then like 20 minutes later or an hour later or 2 hours later, it's, I needed, I did this solid for you, so, can you donate to me? And I'm sorry, but that's immoral, and it's absolutely not, there's no integrity there. So the thing, like, over this last 6 months was that I've been really taking in is the fact that I've really worked on turning my business and marketing class into digital marketing, and learning how to build value ladders and increase your worth to people. Because if you give people that free help and that help to give your be genuine, then you can get those people that you're helping with being genuine, and literally putting yourself out there to share your gift and to basically build your clientele. Because if you help people genuinely that you've reached out to, they're going to give you that screaming review. And as you build your business and your screaming reviews that are saying that, hey, she stepped up and she was spot on, or he was spot on, and they did it for absolutely free, and they're absolutely amazing. Like, if you can get a reading with them, check out their site, go get a reading from them. Can't guarantee that it's going to be like, don't free as mine was. They were in their beginning, however you put it out there. But it's like, at least then you're building your trust. You're building trust, and you're doing things like morally sound. It's hard, and I can't say it's not hard, because like I have a hard time believing that I should sell my service and sell my time, and that I want to help the people that don't have the money for me to help. But I also need to live. And I've been living with nothing for a very long time now, and it wasn't by choice. And now that I have my body back, and that I could go back to work, and I could go back to my 9-to-5 job, and I have had plenty of success as a salesperson. I have so much more confidence in myself and my abilities, so much more college behind me. I have my body back on top of my mind. I could easily go back and make somebody else millions upon millions in their business. I've done it for Fastenal, I've done it for Wolseley, I've done it for other companies. I know that I could go out there again and do it for another company. But this time I know that I'm here to help people, and I am more than grateful and blessed to be able to give you the information that saved my life, that took me from where I was 6 months ago to where I am today, being a completely successful business person out here, able to share my story and bring this to you. I have a book written that is just sitting with the publishers. I have the rough draft out for purchase for $1.11. And I have a few courses, a few mini courses out there that I'm giving away for free, some guides to help you on your businesses. I have all of the stuff that I've been working on it and building, not believing that I needed to be perfect, but wanting to have more to give than just me talking about all the things that have helped me and all the things that I've taken over this last 6 months, over the last 20 years of my life. I wanted to be sure that I could do more than just inspire, that I could give you some tools to help you spiritually, that I can help you with your business. I wanted to have more to offer than just, oh yeah, I went from bedridden to a successful entrepreneur. This is what I did, and I hope you liked my story. I don't know how to help you. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be that person, and I knew I know I have a lot of business sense, and I knew what was needed, but I didn't know how to make it. And so I've been learning how to make it, and I've been taking class after class after class after class on how to take my services and be able to help people, but to build my business around it as well. So that being said, I really hope you could take a whole lot of this day one. I know I didn't get into specifics, and I will, I promise. Day two is going to have a lot more in depth of the different mindset practices to help take you from scarcity to, living your, like you're out of scarcity. I don't know what's the opposite of scarcity. Rich? I don't know. But no, I have so much information, and I'm so grateful and blessed to be able to share it, that I really just wanted today to give you background more about me and where I've come from, and a lot of the times where, even not knowing it at the time, that my mindset was what pulled me through. My mindset just naturally being what it is, and the way I've always been, like, I know that if I feel better about this, it'll be better, because my emotions, how bad I feel about myself, how bad I feel like I failed, how bad I feel like, life has been, the only person that those negative feelings, like even if I was embarrassed about something I said, embarrassed, or I felt bad because I offended somebody, now I just offend everybody. It's just so much easier that way. So, um, but like I had so many reasons to that I found, that I gave myself self-doubt, and so to come out here and put myself out there and have more to offer people, I'm super excited to help you build either your spiritual growth within yourself and for yourself, to help you heal some of those past traumas, to hopefully bring you through the pain the way that I was guided to pass through mine, and be here in front of you today. I'm not here because I have doubts about it working. I know it works. I am proof. I am so grateful for how much and how well it works. And Jordan, I am more blessed to have you in my life, and I love you so much. So thank you for being on this journey with me, and being part of my business, and part of everything that I'm doing here today. And you know, this was a good start, I think, because it's just me and you, and we can only get better from here. So, um, but yeah. So please just take with a grain of salt that today didn't give you probably everything you had hoped to get on the first day of this class. But I just came out of a Tony Robbins class, and my mind is shook. So, um, we are on an amazing journey. Yes, we are, and I'm excited that, I know there's people that where I was, that are still where I was 6 months ago. There's people where I was 3 months ago. There's people still in pain. There's people who are just out of pain, that don't know how to keep going and don't know where to go next, because if they were like me, um, exactly, it's an introduction video. Exactly, it's day one of the mindset class. It's the introduction. It gives you insight onto how mindset can really make a difference if you're paying attention to the tidbits that I threw in there. So look forward to tomorrow. And now that I've got this whole Facebook Live thing figured out, it should be a whole lot smoother. but but Jordan, I will message you after. And thank you everybody for coming by and checking this out. For those of you watching this after the recording, there's a link attached. It takes you to the website that has sign up for the next 3-day mindset class. And then there's my book for $1.11, and a few other. I have a community of spiritual creative entrepreneurs that is free to join. Go ahead and join that. And then if you purchase anything off of my site, there is actually a paid group that will have a whole lot more content and guides to help you reflect and continue to grow your business, and or continue on your spiritual journey. We're gonna have so much more. So, and yeah, if you all have questions, you can message Jordan. And if you have any other questions, you can also message me. It's Not All Who Wander Are Lost is my business page, which is where this is happening. And then Laura L. Danielson, you can catch me there as well. But yeah, it's been fun, and I look forward to tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody.